Pizza time.
Pizza time.
Ed, it's here. The biggest week of the year.
Oh boy.
So many movies this year. All culminating in this movie that everyone's been telling us about for almost a year now, 6 months at least. Salaar, you got to go see it. And we've seen it. And we're here to talk about it.
Alex, did you say, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Salaar?
Did you say Salaar? The only man who can do the task? Salaar? 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 That's like the whole movie. Anyways,
Whoa.
yeah, Salaar, let's do it.
That was a, he didn't tell me he was going to do that, so I didn't know he was going to do that. That was not approved, ladies and gentlemen. So how dare he? But yes, we have seen Salaar. We're here to talk about it. It is doing insane numbers. I can't grasp I can't get a good read on the numbers. We are recording this on the 22nd in America, so it's only been out, I think, a day there, and it's been out for a day here. It came out the 21st here. But it does seem like it will deliver the biggest opening of 2023 and one of the biggest openings of all time for any Indian film ever, which is insane. Because it's insane for a lot of reasons. One, Prabhas has been on a very, very, very bad streak. Earlier this year, he released a movie called Adipurish. It was terrible, apparently. It looked like some of the worst CGI we've ever seen, apparently. Everyone has told us, do not watch the movie. It's terrible. In fact, they're already doing a remake of it with Ranbir instead.
What?
Yeah, that quickly.
Is that what they do? When things fail, they just redo
it's like a true
them?
story. Someone told me it's basically...
And it's a true story?
Music playing. I don't know what the hell that was in my ears. Anyway... So, yes, we're here to talk about Salaar, though. Massive opening. I'm sure it's doing bonkers numbers. I think it's getting very good. Reviews, both by the audience and by critics of India. Again, we don't have a good way to match that over here. We don't get a lot of reviews for Southern Indian films on our media. A lot of the attention goes to more Bollywood films. So we do. Donkey has gotten reviews, but... I haven't seen any reviews for Salaar in America yet. With that being said, we're here to talk about our review. We're going to give you our thoughts and how we felt about the film. I have a feeling, ladies and gentlemen, that we will feel very, very different about the movie. I think you'll be surprised. And I think I'll be a fan favorite again. Anyway. Before we get into that, I'm going to try my best to recap the film. So from here on out is spoiler territory. From here, it starts spoilers through the rest of it. But the movie is what I thought was very simple premise to follow, which I think Ed is going to disagree with me. Maybe. I don't know. But it's basically the story of two best friends who one makes a promise. Diva makes a promise to his best friend because his best friend saves his life and his mom's life. And then he makes a promise saying, you ever need me, I will come back and I will protect you. And it sets up from very much the very, very first setting of the film that Diva is, played by Prabhas, is a maniac. He is a guy who will do anything, and he's got insane strength and just is superhuman in many, many ways. So it sets up like that. And then we rush to 2017, and it's a whole bunch of stuff happening, but essentially a daughter comes back to India when she should have never come back to India. It sets into motion a whole plan that involves Prabhas saving her, but in doing so, Prabhas breaks something he should have never done before because he's stopped a seal. And the seal is something that everybody just lets pass because they're just criminals and blah, 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 blah. Then we go back in time to when his best friend called on him, and that's when we find out why that seal is... Well, actually, we don't find out why the seal is so important. I guess we'll find that out in the sequel. But we find out what Prabhas does to help his friend and basically helps his best friend take over the kingdom. And in a lot of ways, it kind of follows the same story structure of Bali 1, where the first half of the film is set up.
Nice catch.
Yeah,
It's true.
It's
I said the same thing.
Very, very, very similar to Bali Bali.
Yes.
Except Bali Bali is much better.
Yes.
I will say that. But it's, hey, here's this present day stuff, and then I'm going to pull you out, and we're going to go all the way back in time, and you're going to see what happens. So that's the overall gist of the movie, and then the ending is kind of crazy. It's a lot of information thrown at you very, very quickly, and I didn't. I'll tell you right now, I didn't love the ending. I thought it was by far the worst part of the movie for me. But let's start with the review and overall thoughts. I'll go first because you guys will turn off the review after Ed talks. But I actually didn't mind this movie. I liked a lot of parts of it. I did enjoy it more than both KGF 1 and KGF 2. I think the director has learned to slow down in the cuts. And then I also found out recently that the director didn't have a lot of budget for KGF 1 and 2. So his thought was, if you edit really fast, you can make it look grander than it is, which he slowed down a bit in this one for a lot of things. I think he did. Go watch KGF 1, then watch this movie again and tell me he's learned. He's definitely learned. I do think the movie is a little slow. It moves not at the best pace, but again, I didn't mind this movie. I think Prabhas, I unfortunately, I want more of Prabhas. I think they do a disservice of putting him kind of second screen all the time because they're telling so much story all the time, and there's so much information to give you. And again, I don't think any of the information is bad or anything like that. And in fact, I'll say this. The world he's created, I thought, is incredibly clever. There's this whole section of India that's been written off the map, and it's basically where criminals and all the legal activity, illegal activity happens. And I think that's actually a really, really kind of smart idea for an entire government to just basically say, hey, this part of the map doesn't actually exist. And I think that's incredibly clever. So there's a lot of really clever things in here. And then again, like I said, I want more Prabhas in every way. I want more lines of him speaking. I want more of him on screen. I want more action. So as funny as this sounds so funny, but like KGF was almost too much, but I think he pulled it back too far here. You know, I think he's got to find a middle ground. But again, I think Prashnath Neil, I think he's a great director. I think he's a good director. I think he's a great ideast. He comes up with really, really great ideas and really kind of, even though the world wasn't colorful, but colorful worlds, imaginative worlds. So I think credit should go out to him, and the writing and the characters he comes up with are really fun. Because again, I think it is fun to see a guy get thrown into a tire and then the tire explodes because he gets thrown into it so hard. That stuff is fun. So yeah, I thought the movie overall was fun. I didn't mind the movie. I was able to follow every single step of the movie. It was very slow, in my opinion, and I wanted more Prabhas. But overall, a good time for me. I have no big issues with the movie in terms of like I did with KGF. And that is how I felt about the movie. Ed, I will pass this over to you. Be kind. It's Christmas.
Be kind, rewind. It's Christmas, you're right. And, well, not technically for our Indian friends, unless you guys celebrate Christmas. Not sure. Anyways, either way, Salaar, part 1 ceasefire. Look, I'll be straight up and I'll try to be kind. But, yeah, I didn't like this movie at all, almost. I don't think it's a great movie by any means. Most of my time was figuring out when I should leave, though I didn't. I stayed through because there were some, I will say this already up front, there were some parts at the end part of the second part of the movie that were able to keep me through. However, they were not able to turn me over into believing that this is anything more than like KGF basically rewrapped in a different set of characters and people. Because you're right. A lot of the things you said, I agree with you on, but I think you're giving it way too much credit. I'm not going to do that, but I also will quell my annoyance of the film and just try to be as critical in a constructive way as possible. I say that.
For sure.
So I didn't like this movie, not even by a little bit. I think it might be one of the worst Indian films I might have seen. I don't like it more than KGF Chapter 1 or 2, and I'll tell you why. There's some, the biggest one, it's something you mentioned too. There's a lot that's wrong with this movie, I believe, and we'll get into it. But the biggest problem why it does not it's not better than KGF Chapter 1 or Chapter 2 is that I think it completely messed up Deva, its main protagonist. He is not interesting, even in the slightest, except when the movie wants you to believe he's interesting, which is during the big action moments, which is fair. Of course, that's what you're there for. And I was cheering as much as anybody else when those moments happen. However, I can't name a single other scene that makes him a distinct character besides he's a brooding, hulking man. And there are long stretches of the film where he's not even in it. And there's no other characters I think are even close to being as interesting because they're not the hulking hero. So that's the biggest issue with this movie for me, is why it's not even better than those movies, because Deva is just boring. I barely remember him besides being the poster child for the typical Indian macho superhero god savior. Yeah. You could replace not to say that Prabhas is bad. It's not that Prabhas is bad. It's the character who's just blandly written. You could replace Prabhas with anybody, with any of your big Indian heroes, and you wouldn't know the difference because the character is, in my opinion, bland, just boring. And when the whole movie rides on that, you have a problem. So that's my biggest one. I have a lot of other things, but that's my biggest issue.
I agree. I mean, like, again, at the end of the day, I would say Prabhas in Bahubali gets sidelined in the first film, and then gets
but the story's really strong.
Exactly, the story's super strong.
Where there's like
like this one. So the way they structured the film, I think is part of the problem, right?
Yes, 100%.
You get about 40 minutes in before you're kind of like, well, wait a minute, what's exactly happening right now? And then you kind of get some details that and then we're gonna go back. I think the film would have been better to go from if you switched it. If you showed us, hey, here they are as kids, here he is saving his mom and him, he's leaving, and this is when he calls him back.
Yes.
And like, that part does the whole first half of the movie. Then you have intermission, and you reveal the seal and you reveal the fall of this place, and then you see Prabhas in normal day, and you get that kind of payoff of why his mother is so scared to let him be him, and why people are so scared of him. And I think the movie's much better if you just flip it over.
The screenplay is a big problem, and that was I agree with. I 100% agree with you. Like there was a mismatch of just how much time was spent, getting to Salaar in present day, and then the enormous amount of time we spent in Khansaar. I forget the name of the place. Khansaar.
Khansaar.
Khansaar. That's what it is. Khansaar. So that was just a problem in pacing, and so yes, 100%.
So overall, I think if you switch those two parts, you actually have a pretty decent movie.
Sure, but they didn't do that. So
no, but you can't give them credit for that. But overall, I would agree with you. Like I said in my initial review of the film, I would have just been better. I would have been happier if we got more Prabhas. And I know we're probably going to get a lot more of them in the sequel, hopefully, because that's the recipe, right? But like, again, to your point, Ed, the movie is called Salaar, and yet his name's not Salaar, but it's referring to him.
Right.
I want him. He is this massive star, and I know he's had a lot of bad stretches as he goes, and apparently he like put on a lot of weight because he had to take steroids. I was told.
For this.
No, he had to take steroids for Bahubali. Go watch Bahubali. Look how big he is. And look how skinny he is in this one. Yeah. So he's
toned here.
Apparently it kind of messed up his face, and he couldn't really act. He had no real facial expressions. So maybe that was part of it. Maybe it was like, hey, we're going to kind of baby him back into this role. And again, I just wanted more of him. And I think the movie would have been so much better in terms of everything if there's just more Prabhas. Like, I feel like he's on screen. This is a 2 hour and 52 minute movie. I feel like if he's on screen, maybe less than an hour of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's a big problem to me, and that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's a problem. What is going on? I don't think he's not. Not only does he have less, and maybe the reason he is not on screen too much is because of his type of character. He is he's like a Western. He's like a cowboy. He doesn't speak too much. And for the big 40 minutes of the movie, he has to be on a chain because of his mom and what he's done, blah blah blah. So he doesn't have a lot of words, and he's already on screen not that much. So it's a very daunting, it's a very weird choice that he's the main character, but he's not on screen that often. It's just very weird.
Yeah, yeah. So we have an agreement of that.
Yes.
Again, I think the biggest difference is I'm giving credit to this film and credit to the director in a way that, like, listen, I couldn't follow KGF 1. I couldn't. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're drinking 6 beers, you're probably not gonna be able to follow. I went back and rewatched it. I still couldn't follow it very well. Now, with that said, I do think KGF does handle Rocky much better. Like, Rocky is this, like, he's funny, and it works for that movie. It works so well for that movie. And this, because he's so serious, you don't have the room to be funny. Right. But I will say, I did like that I was able to follow the story. I thought the world he created was very inventive. It was too much wrapped in mystery for too long. Peel back the layers a little bit. But yeah, so I started watching like the first 30 minutes of Rebel Moon and I turned it off. In my opinion, he is Zack Snyder plus. He does it better.
It's
his world is, I think his world building is better. I think his imaginative, how his ideas come to screen are better. That being said, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed every action scene in this movie. I thought they were all well done. I thought they were a little one trick. It was a little too slow. I don't know if he, Rocky moved. I want to see this guy move a little bit.
Yeah, he's like the Terminator. He just kind of physically he's like slower. He's just less nimble, and he kind of he walks. It's like a runway. He walks. Yeah. Poses, moves forward, poses,
and again, I wonder if that has to do with if that has to do because of Prabhas' injuries.
It's funny you brought that up because in my mind I was thinking, how old is Prabhas? Is it because he's a little older and he's not able to do the more nimble stuff? Is that what it was? And then you bring up the whole medical. I mean, maybe that's what it was. Yeah. But I did notice that. I also noticed that. I also wanted to jump off what you said earlier. Which I agree with. Is like all I can think about how this basically Prashnath Neil as of now is definitely the Snyder equivalent in India for me, where it's a lot of style. It's just a lot of just bombastic style with.
I would give it some substance. You can't say there's no substance.
I'm not saying no. I'm not going to say there's no substance. There's definitely a lot of substance, and I would agree that I think the world and the lore is really interesting. I think one of my notes here was I love the idea of Khansaar being this sort of rogue lawless side black ops nation. I thought that was cool. I liked the rings being like denoting your placement and the how big your territories are. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that. That's fun. Here's where the problem is for me. Okay. I describe Prashanth.
Yeah.
The way he tells his story is like a 6-year-old child who has all the toys of every single cartoon he's ever loved. He takes all the toys into his dining room table and he sets them up in his own little story. And there's this group over here who has problems with this one, and this one over here and with this guy. And he has this immense story, all just compiled in his head. I'm not him. Yeah. I'm the uncle that he invites over that he needs to subjugate all that craziness to while he talks about it and without any filter. That's how I feel when I watch his movies, and that's the problem. He's clearly very imaginative. But there's so much that he needs to do narratively as a filmmaker to tell a competent story, which I'm sorry, but this, like KGF Chapter 1, like KGF Chapter 2, I don't think it does. For me, I made a joke at the beginning of the movie with this. Because the movie is all that. It's still that. To this day, Salaar is a bunch of... Please, I would beg people, please, watch the movie and play a game where you take a shot every single time there's a music crescendo. If you are not drunk by the end of Act 1, I will take everything I've ever said bad about KGF Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Salaar. I will take it all back. But I bet you will be bonked out of your mind by the intermission if you do that. Because, bro, you can't tell me most of the movie is this. Deva, or my sister, it's my sister. I had eggs for lunch.
My sister.
That's the fucking movie. It's just, that is the whole, and it makes me want to shoot in my head. I just can't. It's just, I'm sorry, but look, this is filmmaking. I'm going to talk from a filmmaking standpoint. If you want to turn off because you just want poop, that's fine, and it's not poop. But if it's just artificial, dude. Like, it's poor screenwriting. Like most of this is like a poor screenwriting. It's not the ideologies or the ideas. They're great, but the screenwriting is so poor because every time they do that, it's just like, it doesn't trust the audience. It's like, I got to tell you this is happening. This is important. Listen up. And it's like, there's so many other film techniques you can use. And he has a very shallow set of techniques to be using here. And again, that's fine. If this is your cup of tea, that's fine. I don't, there's movies like this we can enjoy. However, for me, it's also about the experience. And these movies so far are a horrible experience. It's loud. It's loud as hell. People are yelling all the time. It's just loud.
So like, I was thinking about the loud note. I'll start there.
I'm not talking about the level either. It's just a loud movie.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Do you know how many people do another exercise? Take a shot every time there's either an instrument being played in your face or someone screaming or crying. You will be drunk by the end of intermission. I want to rip my ears out because it's just he's trying to keep your attention by blasting you with things. Right. And again, it's just a poor signature for someone who has a poor script.
Right. I think again, I think when you started, you mentioned how it was like a 6-year-old when you're playing with your niece or nephew or your kid, and it's this massive world, and you're kind of like, well, that's kind of creative actually. And then
you're impressed, but you're also annoyed.
You start to sit in it, and you're just like, oh, wait, I'm a little lost. And again, I think he does very, very, very much fall into that in the second part of the movie. In the second part of the movie, it is a lot of information being tossed at you, and this is one of my negatives of the film. It is so much information being tossed at you, so much happening. You're kind of like, oh wait, okay, oh wait. There's so many lords.
There's 7 factions. There's 5 families in one faction. There's different names in the first. You say it's in the second half. It's not only in the second half. It's also in the first half. I will say it's better than Chapter 1 in that sense because it starts off slower. But there's many parts in the first half of the movie where it goes to like 6 people. I mean, 6 places. That's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying there are 6. There's 2 sequences where like there's like government agencies and there's the people at the computer in different parts of the world, and I'm like, we literally went through like 7 places. At the end of the day,
I mean,
if you can't name one of those and it doesn't affect the story, too much.
All those people are there to track Prabhas and that woman, and that's why they're there. And
you could have had one. For me, you could have had 2.
Didn't matter. That to me, I think that's to the point where it's like, it's not a big deal to me. Like, sure, there's a lot of things, but you know what?
But you also said it was slow. So if you cut all that stuff out,
right? But
then
like,
wouldn't it make for a better movie?
Story exposition and like overwhelmed with like story. Like, sure, it's a lot of locations, but like, I'm not getting tossed in like 700 different characters and characters' names that I'm not going to remember. In the first half,
in the second
I'm
half,
fine with that. The second half is all that.
Fair enough. True. Very true.
And it's like, I had a little bit of tough time. I was like, okay, so wait, no, this is the other guy, and no, this is the other guy, and like,
I can't tell you the family tree.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you the family tree, but to me, like, there were good parts of it. Like the guy who was absolutely batshit crazy. That guy was entertaining. Like, like he's just like just have him. I don't need the other 70 other guys.
Is he entertaining or is he just loud? I don't care. I mean,
I think he's entertaining. I think
he's a rascal. I mean, he's that character. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like, he's just playing that guy though. He's not really playing. I don't feel like he's playing that person. He's just playing the guy who needs to be the.
But
okay.
So what? So like everybody needs. That's in every.
I found him, but I don't know. At that point, it's just like I guess
at that point you were over the movie.
Exactly. Well,
like,
I'm putting him under the long
annoyed.
list of like just obnoxious, loud shit. So
yeah,
yes.
and again, like the movie is loud and the movie is abrasive, but to me,
it's immensely abrasive.
I just didn't mind it all that much this time around.
That's fine.
I just
That's
like
fine.
you know what
I think
I'm growing accustomed more to this type of movie. And again, like if when you put your mind into what type of movie we're going to watch, this is a South Indian movie that is, Jailer was loud and abrasive, pretty much.
Not like this.
Jailer was loud.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Not like this. I'm telling you, this movie, he's using loudness as a technique. Jailer does not use loudness as an obnoxiousness as a technique.
But Jailer was loud, is my point.
I don't consider it loud. I mean, that wasn't one of my.
Loud.
That wasn't one of my critiques of that movie.
Ridiculous thing where this guy's walking in slow motion, where every action scene is in slow motion, but the story in Jailer is better. Everything around Jailer is better.
Well, definitely, the story is definitely better.
That's why,
but it also doesn't have every other scene have a crazy fucking track like this.
I feel that. I think I completely agree with you.
Yeah, so sorry.
Turn that off. But I'm agreeing with you. I think that, but what I'm saying is these Southern Indian films, they're loud experiences. They're loud.
Sorry, hold on 1 second. What did I do? Hold on.
I don't know.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I pressed a button. My bad.
Oh,
go.
But what I'm saying is that these are these loud experiences, like this, and in the loud as a technique, yes, is what I'm saying. But for me, I think the film had enough that was enough to hang on to where I can't give it a bad review. I do see your point though of, the loud as a technique is annoying. I completely agree with you. Loud as a technique is very annoying and it's very abrasive. The amount of exposition given to you in the second half of the film and the amount, not just even the second half, the amount of exposition given to you in the last 3 minutes of the film, I think, is so much when you find out who he actually is and what clan he belongs to and why he's so powerful and how it'll probably lead to this big revolution. And you're just like, wait, what? And that was like so rushed to me. That's where I was like, I was angry. I was like, that's too much information to throw at me in the last, let me be fair, last 5 minutes maybe. Cause I think it was actually 3 minutes when you get and then like his skin turns green as you're going, and because
he went into Hulk mode. That was weird.
Yeah, I think that's because they paint themselves like that green for war.
I assume so.
But I'm not. But I wasn't 100% sure about that.
Yeah, that's crazy shit happening.
Yeah, where'd all the scars come from? Or is that he do that to himself? I don't understand. But
I will say I liked like basically from when he, and this is spoilers, right? Cut off the head of the guy who was like a pedophile. like from that point in the movie to the end, I was like, okay, at least I can follow something for the first time, in my opinion, in this movie that I cared about, which is like, no, not at all. It's like a story point. It's like, if his best friend Vardha, his vote is going to hinge on the ceasefire. Thank God. I was like, okay, I get that. That makes sense. Yeah. And it actually matters. It's what the whole second part of the movie is. And so that was nice. It's why I stayed. Because like, everything that's happening right now on screen is all for that moment. And I was like, thank you. Like, there's something here I care about. And it's all to that. There's no extraneous time jumps or just going it's just like, okay, that makes sense. And I like that part of the movie. With
KGF 1 and KGF 2, especially like when you go back to KGF Chapter 2, I remember us watching it and I was saying, look at Rocky do this, and look at Rocky like. It's clear that there's like a good idea here, and it really could work.
Yes,
and it's the same thing here. You get some moments where you're kind of just like, "That's a cool idea." Like I would have loved to start the movie with Prabhas and him.
Yes,
when he attacks the motorcade.
Yes,
I would have loved to start the movie with
dude.
That.
Just honestly, take out the first like 50 minutes.
Okay, yeah, sure.
The whole jump, like you said, maybe. You could have put that at the end, or I would say do like what Bahubali did and just make that the beginning of the next movie.
Yeah.
Because all we needed was just these two, because that was the main story. Because for like an hour, you're wondering like, where does the brother come in? And honestly, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. Right. And you're just wondering like, okay. And because he's such a huge part of the second act.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is the movie. Like this is what we should have been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's like, because of that, you don't feel like they're really like best friends. It's not like
because you don't see him.
You don't see him, so you don't get that like connection. But I'm just like, okay.
In the second half, there are great moments when they're not trying to give you a bunch of exposition. There's great moments when he stops him from attacking people. When he says, "You brought me here. You won't let me do anything."
All right.
I think that entire scene with the pedophile was amazing, where he just decides, you know what?
Totally one of the best scenes.
I'm done. Because he has his arms crossed, and then he moved with the shadow like that.
The shadow.
That shot, that was a great shot.
I agree. Stuff like that is wonderful.
Yeah.
So this director can do shit, but I'm sorry, but okay, so what? Like I
agree with you.
There's parts of a pie I like. That doesn't make it a good pie if it's rotten. Like, good job, but like I'm not your friend. I'm not your bullshit friend. I'm an audience member who paid money. So
it's like
your movie
it's
sucked.
like a pie, but it's like a pie with raw pie dough.
Sure. Yes.
It's a pie with uncooked apples in it.
There you go. Yeah. It's just a missing
incomplete.
Something's just like not right.
Right. It's like everything.
Good parts.
It smells good.
Sweet.
And it looks like it's gonna be good because it looks good on screen.
Right.
And
Exactly.
Like and then you're kind of like, whoa,
what's off?
Wait a minute, something's off here. The dough is still raw. It's still wet in the middle. It's weird. But no, I agree. I do agree with you there. Like I do think that like again, like there's good ideas, and again, I don't know. I think I was just in the right mindset for this movie because I pretty much agree with everything you said.
Yeah,
I do. Like again, using loud as a technique. I just don't do that anymore. It's too much. I completely agree.
But I also want to say like being in the right mindset. I think it's a good discussion because like being in the right mindset assumes that a movie is completely subjective, which it is, right? But at some point we pull from criticism by saying like this is what's come before, and that's why I like this. So I can't say just because it's made for a certain thing that it's a good movie. That's my point. I believe bad movies can be good. I just don't think this is one of them. Is my point.
I'm not gonna. I think the movie is fine. I don't think the movie is good when you go into like a filmmaking perspective.
Yeah. Right.
From my personal review, I thought it was good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not.
I get 100%.
Yeah. From my personal review, I thought personal review. Yeah, like I'm not gonna go say this is the greatest movie of all time. And if we start talking about filmmaking, just filmmaking, the movie
it's gonna fall apart.
Many problems.
Yeah.
And I think if we harpen too much on it, then it'll just be this entire negative talk.
And I agree. And I think it's so in that sense, my personal feelings, just to be clear, is that it just wasn't a good experience though. Like for me, like even on a personal level, it's just not a fun experience to me. It's very abrasive. Like to me,
I would not call
too
the movie
abrasive
fun at all. Yeah.
And so there's that. I also just want to point out a good thing that I liked. That shish kebab scene.
Oh, bro!
Remember, I was like making fun of the trailer. Like,
why
are they doing that
like that? Yeah, I remember.
Well, we found out why, and that was an excellent choice. Mwah, I love that shot. It was so good.
Yeah,
that was really cool. He just stabs Olive in the and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like that's
again,
cool.
I actually have a criticism about that. Again,
okay, yeah.
I don't know what it was with Prabhas. I don't know if he couldn't move that well or what it was, but I think he was too stiff the entire film. It bugged me. And again, I think
Especially after what you saw him do in Bahubali, right? Where he's like jumping on clouds and like going through waterfalls and shit.
He fucking launches himself from a palm tree onto a massive fort. Remember that?
I forgot about that. Yes. And he runs across like the entire castle wall doing like crazy. He's sliding under stuff.
Kind of pseudo fake one shot that they have.
Here, he's total like just stiff. Walks. Runway. Like, it's just runway hero. It's just like,
let me look up the follower who sent us.
You're so right. I mean, what a great like, dichotomy there. It's just like,
it was Manpreet? I'm sorry, I got your name. Yeah, Manpreet. He sent us the information about how Prabhas has had a really rough go of it since Bahubali because they wanted him to be super big and he couldn't keep that weight on. And then he did Adipurush and he couldn't move his face very well. So again, I don't know if he just couldn't move that well and maybe he's getting better and better since he's finally back to how skinny he should be. Because he was skinny. There was moments where he turns sideways and you're kind of like, oh, wow, he's a thin guy in this.
Yeah. Very lean.
But my biggest criticism of this film from a non-filmmaking perspective is the handling of Prabhas. I didn't love how he was too stiff. And then like not being on screen for as long as he was not on screen bugged me. Because like there's moments when like, they're about to cut off everybody's heads, all of his partners' heads, and he's getting a freaking tattoo.
Yeah.
And that stuff is great. I want more of that. But to your point, Ed, the script is so bogged down in all this exposition and all this explaining in this kind of overly creative world you've made that you forget about Prabhas. And again, I think
and Rocky as well. Like it happens in KGF as well. Oh yeah,
I was just about to say
it happens.
If you simplify the script, you have good ideas, and you edit it down, you have something much better, and you have an entertaining movie.
Imagine what could have been done if he just cut out those first 50 minutes, right? Like just spread all that information out a little more.
Yeah.
And you could really get into the lore, really get into this really interesting world you built, right? Like and again, this whole hierarchy of territory owning and whatever, and like all that was really cool.
Yeah, this land that doesn't exist, it's off. Like there's so many like conspiracy theories about America and the land they own and how it actually doesn't exist. Like what you did here was really creative and really smart, and I haven't seen a lot of it. But again, to your point, you get so overwhelmed with information, this information puke that is just shot at you. And you don't know what part of it to keep and what part you don't need.
Right. Like what see, so this is that's a great point. And this does tie back again to the whole superficial sort of just, artificial hyping. It's like if you keep making these moments all similar, you're telling the audience all of this is important. None of it's important.
Right.
You start to dilute the importance of what you're trying to say. You have to be more dynamic in the scenes and how, like, even in just the level of like of the music drop or whatever, it should be dynamic, but it's not at all. It's almost like they use the same exact song every single time someone drops something, and I'm just like, you're diluting your story and you're artificially inflating it, and it's like you have no reason because you have a really interesting foundation here. So I think as a filmmaker, he could definitely just pull back on that because you can tell a story, bro. Like, but just give yourself the chance, man.
Right.
Stop with this. I don't know if it's his. Is it his choice to edit the movie this way? I don't know because clearly they shoot enough. They shoot more than enough to make a competent story here. More than enough. I can't even imagine what they left on the ground floor, dude. Yeah. What did they leave on the editing floor? Because there's so much stuff they're trying to fit in here. Take it back, bro. You can make a really interesting movie with
I don't want to like pile on here because again, I didn't mind the movie as much as Ed did. But like, let's talk about how many things we still don't know. We still don't know why the daughter's important. We still don't know what the hell the seal is and why it's so big. We still don't have an answer to how this all actually ends, and we still don't know why she wants Prabhas, why she was trying to flush him out,
Right.
which was in the beginning of the movie, which you completely forget about.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. There's so many loose ends. I mean, there's a part two, but you know.
Again, sure, but it feels like there's still 20 unanswered questions going into part two, and it kind of like, well, that's
and the biggest one too. I think we were supposed to insinuate that because Deva is a Shuryanga,
yeah,
part of that clan, whatever. So, which is a rival clan to Vardha, I guess. Is that's why they're arch enemies? But they don't give us a final scene with them where Vardha goes, "You son of a, I will never forgive you." And it's like, so like, shouldn't you have ended the movie there? Like, what? It's like solidified why these are arch enemies, because they tell that to you in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and you don't get a scene as to like dun 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 like. Yeah. Why didn't you show that? I don't understand. I guess it was supposed to be insinuated, I guess. But the final shot of Vardha is looking at him like, yeah, man, that's my bro. And I'm just like,
I mean, I
don't understand yet. Like, are we, where does the moment happen that they're not bros? I don't know.
Yeah, where does it all go a little south? So again, like you said, if we take out the first 40 minutes of the movie.
Take it out.
Or, hell, maybe this movie's better served as a movie that's just him protecting this girl. And then
it's like one or the other, right?
Yeah. As it unfolds, you start to realize, wait, who the hell is this guy? And why is he so important? And why is he so feared? And you start to unravel. And then you go tell the story of what happened. Right. That would be great.
I agree. And just my final sort of one thing I really liked, one of the things I liked in my favorite scene from the first half is when Deva's mother basically, Winter Soldiers him and releases him. Oh, the whole idea of that I thought was really cool. Yeah. Like, he only reacts when his mother allows him to.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, that was epic when she walks past him.
I think our wives would say it's not cool, but yeah.
Why?
Cool. Because we're both from single moms and stuff like that. So,
wait, what?
I think our wives would be like, of course, you would listen to just your mother.
Oh. Well, hypocritical is their future moms. Well, hopefully. I don't know. Maybe not. But, yeah, I love that. That was really cool. That little piece, I was like, whoa, that's sick. Like he cannot, there's all this power being covered by this woman, his mom. And it's like, only she is the key. I was like, oh, damn, that's cool, dog. Yeah. Like, that's
and I want to know,
really cool.
I want to know, who was it? Neil who directed him to do it, or did Prabhas just do it on his own? Like, why did he do and why was it so cool?
Oh, sure.
Why did he wiped off his fist because he's like, I'm gonna go get this bloody and then let me bounce my elbow off too.
Oh, and the sound effect of the car or the motorcycle revving.
Oh, yes.
When his hand is like trying to
full ignition.
Great.
Full ignition go.
Fun stuff.
Great stuff. Fun stuff.
That's really cool things.
Give me that. Give me this guy who has this Jeep with all these guns.
Yeah.
And shows them. Again, like we just said, which movie, one or the other, and you have something that's actually really, really fun.
Yeah. But more focused and just
more focused. Exactly.
What are we supposed to hang on to here?
I completely agree with you. I think the movie is very overstuffed. We'll finish on a good note here.
Yeah.
Because I think we criticized the movie, and every point you had is completely correct. I
have more, but I think I made my point.
when you start to dissect it from a purely filmmaking experience, it is not the greatest movie. And I do think KGF Chapter 2 is better than it. From a personal preference for me, I do enjoy it more because it's slower, and the editing in KGF Chapter 2 just gets on my nerves. I just can't do it. Being a video editor, it really hurts me. So with that said, and I do like Prabhas. I can't decide which one I like more, Prabhas or Yash at this point. I think I would probably pick Rocky just because he's
What about
funnier.
Deva do you like? To be honest, look. Aside from Rocky shows power. Rocky can smack somebody with a freaking a shovel, sending him flying. It's not, the power imbalance is like, who cares? I like
the relationship between the mother and son. I like Deva because of that. I like Deva because of he is somebody who seems to be that he has a clear moral compass, whereas I don't think Rocky had a clear moral compass.
That's
until
a good point. That's a good point.
We start to see Rocky be a good guy when he brings all those bodies back and be this guy. And again, that's what I wanted more of.
He's definitely more like Salaar is not an anti-hero. He's a hero. We know this.
He's a hero.
And Rocky is definitely hero. We don't know half the time.
And then I liked it. I like at the end we kind of finally got to see a little bit of his character when he goes and saves the women. When he goes and gets a tattoo and sits down and he becomes this kind of like, hey, hurry up and do the tattoo. I'll do this. And then he goes and saves his buddy, fighting all those guys. And buddy goes, what took you so long? He said the tattoo took a long time. Like that, stuff like that kind of works for me. Again, I do think Rocky at this moment might be a little bit better, obviously, for obvious reasons. And I hope we see him again soon. I wanted to say a couple more good things I really liked about the film. Just little moments. I really enjoyed, I don't know why, but I thought the shot where where Deva goes back to the place. Khansaar. For the first time. And you get that kind of great shot where the kid's leaving and he's stepping back in. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really great shot.
That is a good shot.
I thought the shot where the mom freaks out and grabs the plastic knife from him is a good setup of what, who this guy is and like how scary she is.
Actually, that's funny you mentioned that scene because the beginning of that scene, I thought was horrible.
It does have your same your criticism that when you play that sound, that's the only scene I keep thinking of for some reason.
Oh, then you've completely turned your mind off to the whole thing, which is fine. I think that's a good thing for you because I just cannot. Anyways, but it's just I get that scene. I understood it once I saw the knife. The whole build up to that moment, I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's a fucking fire in your house. Put it out.
What's happening?
What the hell? It's just. Anyways, it's fine.
Logic does not apply to these movies. Right. So that scene was great. I liked the. Well, I had another scene I liked, but I forgot to write it down, so I can't remember. I talked about it already. I won't say liked. I loved the Jeep scene.
Which one's that one?
When they attack the motorcade in the first half of the movie, when he turns on all those guns. Who knows where he gets all those guns? And then he has a freaking rocket launcher on top of his Jeep. I liked that scene, and I was just like, hey. Again, at that point in the movie, I thought, we're going to find out, or he's going to go on a mission to basically save this girl and go up against the entire government. And we're going to forget about the first 10 minutes of the movie because it won't matter. And then, of course, we did the exact opposite and we went back in time and we told the story. For me, I liked that scene just because it set up this more interesting person that we hadn't been given a lot of time with yet because we just got the scene where he beat up all the guys.
And this is interesting because I feel like I had the opposite reaction to that scene because it's like, I don't feel like he as a character earned that moment. Like anybody could set up guns.
These movies,
you know what I'm saying?
None of these characters. I don't think Rocky ever earned many things in KGF Chapter 1. He goes to
but he doesn't do. I don't feel like he does anything that is you don't expect Rocky to do that because.
Right. Again, for me,
but he has guns.
It's not so much the earning part. It's like, here's this guy we don't know much about. We just got a scene where he was finally released. Now we're getting pieces together where we can see what else this guy's capable of. And clearly he's capable of a lot if he can just pull out these machine guns out of nowhere and all these other guns. And again, I don't disagree with you. Okay. Earned, bit. It would have been paid off better if we got to see more of him in the current day, in 2017, protecting this girl.
That's right.
Give me more of
I agree with that
movie, or give me all of that movie. Him protecting the girl, I would have loved it. Or give me all of this world where we learn about this hidden part of India that's run by clans, that is where all the crime in India runs through, right?
Yeah.
Give me that. But
so I guess you're right. I think if you put it in this way, maybe I can give some points back where it's like, Like he is the cavalry. Like that is what a Salaar is.
Yeah.
The Salaar is the person you call when you need help. And so
right.
his job is to just bring the pain.
Right.
So I think they could have done better to like set that up. But I get it. I get okay, now in that context. Okay, I can give that scene back. Okay, it does make sense then. Like that's exactly what he's supposed to do.
But again,
so okay,
we go into our favorite parts,
Fine.
and I can't before finishing this, we cannot say it enough. We go into our favorite parts. Every single one of our favorite parts is Prabhas.
Yeah,
he's the star.
He's the star.
He needs to be on screen for more time. He needs to have more, he needs to have more action scenes. I want to see him behead more guys. I want to see him throw more guys. He needs more. And in the sequel, hopefully he gets more. In the sequel,
and also,
we'll have a guest host because
it's
Ed
one of
will
those
probably not like it. So
I don't know if I'll watch it.
you'll watch it.
I'm not kidding. I don't know.
No.
You'll have to put my arm behind my back.
Ed. This is a business. You'll watch it.
No one's paying me yet, so
well, we'll get there.
We'll see. It might be a good chance for someone else to come in and do a. Here's the thing.
Well, it can't be.
I don't want to be on unless people care to hear my opinion. Maybe you guys tell me, but I don't want to be that guy. I'm not here to ruin anybody's time. Okay,
right.
and as far as I'm concerned, I want to make something very clear too about people who like. I don't know why there's such a. When people don't like a movie, I want to make this something very clear. We lost. I consider myself at a loss. I don't say what I say because I need to be over you and tell you why it's bad. Yeah. I consider myself having lost. You guys won. So I'm happy for you. If you like the movie, I'm so happy for you. Feel bad for me. Like I'm not trying to be above you in any way. As far as I'm concerned, I wasted my money, not yours, and wasted my time. So congrats. I really don't care.
On that point, if anybody is upset about the film and wants to unsubscribe, it's your life. You do whatever you want. But if every reviewer you watch say they love every single thing that they watch, then they're not being honest with you.
Also, what's the point?
Yeah, you got again, I know people got really mad at us for KGF Chapter 1, but you guys asked us to watch that movie, and then you didn't like the opinions we had on it.
Not but to be fair, not everybody.
A lot.
It was like 50-50. I mean, clearly people watched it. So thank you.
I'm not going to say this is the greatest movie. I enjoyed him more than KGF 1 and 2. I will say that. The movie was fine.
Yeah.
But it had a lot of flaws in terms of filmmaking. And Ed is 100% right. The biggest point that everyone should take away from Ed in this, in my opinion, is that loudness is not a technique. And it can ruin someone's experience with the film, as it did with Ed. And it can be exhausting. And I don't blame him for being exhausted after this movie.
Bingo.
So, but again, that's a critique, and it's a fair critique. We're not talking about the levels of the movie being loud. We're talking about the technique to play loud, cinematic moments over and over and over again. When you live for a moment versus a well-composed, slow-building screenplay, you have a problem.
I'll say dynamic. I don't want to say slow, just dynamic. Like it can be dynamic. There are levels of even fast. Fast is not just fast, or loud is not just loud. There are levels of that, and you should go through the spectrum as to not abrase your audience. Right. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
So look, in terms of Southern Indian films, this is I don't know.
In line, it seems to me. Look again, if you like.
Well, wait a minute. RRR is a Southern Indian film. Bahubali is a Southern Indian film.
Oh, so great. Yeah.
So their Jailer is a Southern Indian film.
So this is all like Hambal films. Then this is you go to Hambal for these films, and that's fine. That's actually that might be the best way to put it. It's like Hambal, and they don't have to necessarily represent all of Southern India films. So,
but it doesn't matter because this movie's doing amazing at the box.
It's doing
office,
great,
and people love it. So hey, you love it, good for you. That's great. I think that's good. I think we've talked for about an hour on this film.
No, this is great. I hope you guys. I think that's what they wanted.
All of this. And like I said, we're not no Ed's not trying to be hateful to this movie.
I'm probably gonna watch part 2. Freaking relax. I'm not one to say opinions if I haven't seen it yet. That being said, good lord, I'm just okay, we'll have to. Yeah. All right.
We'll see how.
Give me an ice cream or something.
We'll see how Banghera goes. That's another Hombale film. So the Indian Black Panther, that'll be cool. Anyway. That's it for us today. We have a lot more content still coming. Donkey reviews coming soon.
Literally
We also
watching.
have-
I have to go because I have to go watch Donkey.
Oh shit, you gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go. But that's at 10:30, so I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Hopefully
it's great. We'll let you know what we feel about Donkey. It's coming soon. This review will be up soon. Thanks, guys. Like,
Bye.
subscribe. Bye.